Good evening and welcome to another live stream. Do you know what? I chopped my applause off at the end there. I didn't, or maybe I didn't. I don't remember. Okay, welcome to another live stream. This week we're talking about the song Broken. This was a co-write between Darren, Parry, James Warren, and later on I muscled in with some lyrics when we changed it up a little bit. So without further ado, I am going to hit the record spin any second now, except it's not necessarily a record.
Thinking about the times when we were good together seemed so far away. I wonder why we never got to say all of the things I never said but could have told you. Every night you're out of sight. I need you, want you. I'm broken, scattered pieces on the floor. When you close that open door on me, I was lost. Don't you know I'm broken? A million pieces on
Now that's what I call a round of applause. Sorry, I got a bit confused as to where that round of applause was coming in. I'm kind of expecting applause everywhere now. So welcome to the show. And that, of course, was Broken. Some people's favourite off the album. I know Nigel, who was sat across here. You can't see him unless he puts his arm out. Oh, there it is. That was one of his favourites when he first heard it. He was going, oh, I love that song. So a lot of people do. As always, welcome to the live stream. If you haven't subscribed to us on YouTube, you'll just find out how easy that is to do.
That was easy.
It was really easy, yeah. Look, it's almost that easy. Just go down to the bottom and hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much for doing that. And likewise, we just had a whole load of people who've subscribed to us on our website. Not that you get loads, but every now and then you'll get a little newsletter will go around, or every now and then you might get a freebie email. Or if we're going to release something, we might actually give you a sneak preview of it a couple of days early or something like that. So it's kind of worth doing, and we will never actually throw you loads of junk mail or anything like that. It'll just be every now and then if there's something momentous to say, we'll say it. Yes, we will. Where are we now? I think, quiz question. We have a quiz question. Every week we have a quiz question, and this week is no exception. So this time I am actually going to tell you what is up for grabs, and this is because we have been trying desperately to find somebody in the UK who does not own a copy of James Warren's Innocent Bystander. So I know we're probably preaching to the converted here, because you all know, well, I got that loads ago, I got that ages ago, I saw you at the Rondo doing it, etc., is all of the comments that I've been having all the time. However, we are still going to try and give away a copy of James Warren's Innocent Bystander. It's actually why we put the band together in the first place, and it is a rather brilliant album. It's mixed because the album was written for the purpose of maybe other people recording the songs, so that's why there's a wide variety of styles on it, and it is good, but there's a couple of real classics on there. I think The First Time is a real classic, and I think Colours, Have You Seen the Colours, is a staggering piece of work, and in fact it's musically so difficult that whenever we go to rehearse it, we go, what's next? And I go, Colours, and everyone will go, oh no, God, it's so hard. And the reason it's hard is because it was written in two different keys. I think halfway through the song, James just had the idea that's like, let's not be in E anymore, let's move it up to A. Now, if you know much about keys, you'll know moving something up from E to A means that you're either going to now be singing ridiculously high, or you're going to have to change things about a little bit. And change things about is what he did. So he reversed the harmonies, turned them on his head, and the harmony became the lead became the harmony. And then when we got to the chorus, all of the harmonies for the chorus had to change because they were now in completely different key. So that's why we all go, oh, God, once we do that. But we do thoroughly enjoy it. It's been in every set that we've done since we did that first gig at the Rondo, and it will probably stay for quite a long time because I can't see anyone voting it out of the set. So there we go. That's what the prize is, and in fact I could show you just what the prize is, and I'm going to put this a little bit off center because otherwise you get a kind of, yeah, you can probably kind of see that. Otherwise you get a reflection on the plastic because this is still bubble wrapped. This is still gift wrapped. So there. I think it's the third week in a row we've been trying to give it away, but everyone's got it. So good on you for having it. That's all I can say. Okay, so the quiz question, this, of course, is to do with the song Broken, which is what we're doing tonight. And as you guys have been finding it way too easy to get these questions, we're getting trickier as we go along here. We know that you guys are very knowledgeable. So I'm going to stick it up on screen here. And here we are. In Broken, with the song Broken, obviously. In Broken, which section of the lyrics did Al rewrite? There may have been a clue in the Darren Parry interview, or there may be a clue in the Darren Parry interview, which the Darren Parry interview will be coming along in a short time. So if you have no idea which bit of the lyrics I might have rewritten, I mean, in truth, I went through quite a bit of the song and made tiny changes here or there to make it fit in with Cartoon World more. but there is a particular section in Broken. Which section of the lyrics did Al rewrite? There may have been a clue in the Darren Parry interview. So there we are. That is the quiz question up there. Lovely. How this came about, how the co-write between Darren and James came about, is like this. Darren is someone that's been coming to the studio for an awful long time. We've done a lot of songs of his with him. I don't think Darren and I have ever co-written anything. Mainly my job has always been just to facilitate whatever he does, just to play the instruments or extra backing vocal blocks or whatever we happen to need at the time. So we'd never co-written anything together. But at one point, James just thought, I fancy writing with a few different songwriters. So we put a little presentation together, which was basically to just put up on Facebook or other social media. So if anyone fancied it, they could just get in touch and we could talk about how that might work. I mean, co-writing is a kind of funny thing because you can do it in many different ways. I think when James and I first wrote together, we in fact kind of wrote separately, where I would write something, I'd send it to him with a blank bit at the end, he'd fill in it, he'd send it back to me, and then we'd eventually get together and work on it. Or you can do what Lennon and McCartney used to do in the early days, and you can sit in the one room and look at each other and hammer it out. If anyone's seen that, the latest Get Back film, you'll see them doing quite a lot of that, just looking at each other and kind of trying to get the harmonies in together and suggesting word changes and stuff here and there. Even if one person has, mainly written the song, the other person will be pitching in with ideas. They don't seem to have any problem with, oh, Paul, you wrote that, so therefore I won't pitch in. They just pitch in, everyone pitches into everything, which is a nice way to work. This particular one, so I'm going to show you a little bit of the presentation that we put together. And this is using a little bit of software called Microsoft Sway. Now, this software is little known, hardly anyone uses it, but I just came across it, and I'm always looking for new gadgets, new ways to make a presentation, make something look a little bit nicer, than it might do. So the heading, Write a Song with International Hit Songwriter James Warren. That's quite an eye-catching little title there. And then this, we've just kind of put a few things, and this is something that's very true. It has never been easier to get your music out there, and it has never been so hard to get it noticed. Why not create a song that you can really shout about? So the idea was there that if you're not a named songwriter, it gives you the ability to get to a load more people if you can say, hey, I'm writing with this guy who is. And God knows all the songwriters need a leg up these days to get their stuff heard. Some people will recognize these album covers and single covers here. So that's just a little bit of stuff about James working with George Martin and all of that sort of stuff. A little brief thing of their hits. And now it's your turn. So it says here, now working out of Shabbey Road with Al Steele, James is willing to share his skills with some up-and-coming writers. He is also a first-rate producer, well, we know that, and is happy to bring both skills to the table. James has a love and passion for music and is also a perfectionist, so expect to be challenged. And that is true as well, because he's very good at what he does, I think I go on to say, be aware that James is not a hip-hop artist, nor does he spend his time placing beats in odd places. His music is based on melody and innovation, so be sure this is what you're after. Of course, he is a first-rate vocalist, etc., etc., etc. And also, you need to be prepared. Don't come with nothing. Bring your killer chorus, bring your most moody verse, bring the one line that you could think could connect at a gut level. So all of that stuff, and etc., etc. So it goes on. And that's what we stuck up online, and a couple of people immediately came back and said, yeah, I would like to do that. I believe Gavin Clifton, who was a guy that I write with a lot. He was born with cerebral palsy. And so a lot of people said to him from an early age, like, you'll never be able to do anything because you won't be able to compete on the same level as anyone else. Well, maybe as an after-dinner speaker he wouldn't, because he's quite hard to understand as Gav. However, my connections with him were all via email, and there was certainly nothing wrong with his mind. So we were able to...
Gav's on.
Oh, is Gavin on? Hello, Gavin. Good. Lovely you could join us. So yeah, there's certainly nothing wrong with his skills, and he writes some really great lyrics, and Gavin and I have done, I don't know, 15, 16 songs together, something like that. So Gavin and James might have been the first one, I think it was, and it's a song called Fast and Loose. You will eventually, perhaps, and we can't promise this, but we are working on a new Japanese album. I can maybe cover this a little more in the news, but... we're working on a Japanese album that is kind of a compilation, so it has some things that you will have heard before, but not in the same versions. And it has a few odd things that were never perhaps destined to be on an album. Certainly Fast and Loose didn't fit into the arc of Cartoon World, but there was nothing wrong with it as a song. It sounds really good. So that might end up on the Japanese album. And you can kind of, it's the sort of thing you can go and buy an import if you've got shed loads of money, because I think they may only be releasing it on vinyl over there. But we probably will do at least a limited amount of CDs, probably not vinyl unless enough of you pester us, in which case we would then. So Gavin was the first one with Fast and Loose, and then Darren was the second one, and his song was unsurprisingly called Broken. And in the interview with him, we'll talk about, how exactly that came to pass. And plus, we'll give you a little bit of a history of who Darren is. He's doing some very exciting stuff. He's writing with some great guys at the moment, and I know in the last year, I've worked on 5, 6 really good songs with him. So you'll hear a little bit of that when we kind of go into it, which will be very soon. And in fact, I think that's what we'll do next after I just go through everything else that is going to be on today. So the interview with Darren will be there, then we'll come back and we'll do the news, of which there is kind of substantial news these days. There seems to be something happening every week, so we'll hope to keep you up to breast with it. In case you've just joined us, please subscribe. You won't believe how easy that can be. Subscribe to YouTube, LinkedIn even we're on. That's mainly Nigel handles the LinkedIn side of things, and we all get stuck in on the Instagram, the Twitter. It's probably mainly me on Twitter, and Facebook is everyone. So and also you can contact us via the website, and people often do. It's been really great that a lot of people have come through and gone, hey, I've got a question to ask, and they've just asked us something that we can hopefully, if we can remember, we'll answer them. There we are. Okay, so I think we are going to jump on to the Darren Parry interview. We did it, I did it in here earlier in the week with Zoom. He sadly couldn't be with us right at this very time because he does something regular at this time on a Thursday. But please, I tell you what, I'm going to give him a round of applause immediately because he deserves it. And I'm going to play the video. And Bob will be our uncle. Can you find it?
We'll have a song to remember for you and me. I'll take you all the places that you want to see. We're gonna have a party. We're gonna have a summer of love. We're gonna drive around with the windows down to the radio as we drive out of town. We're gonna make some memories. Gonna have a summer of love. Just look up, 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 and you will find me with the sun, the moon, the stars all behind me. Just look up, 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 I will find you, and you will never be alone. If you look up, I'll live on in your children's smile. I'll live on in the glint in your eye. As long as you remember me, my love.
his live stream. I know this is not quite live, but it's as good as we get because he's a very busy man. Say hello, Darren.
Hello, everybody.
So, Darren, how long do we go back?
Wow. It's quite a while, isn't it? We did have a conversation about this on my podcast.
Yeah, did we figure out what the year was? It was early days of the studio.
Yeah, I think I first came up in about 2002, I think, was the first time I came up.
Yeah. So I think the studio had been open 2 years by then.
Maybe 2001, but certainly 2002. Yeah, so 20 years. Yeah. Long.
It's a good while. And I mean, some of those early songs I only kind of vaguely remember. I remember it was still kind of almost firmly in the days of drum machines, and used to bring your drum machine patterns in, and then we kind of fit other stuff across to that.
Yeah, I used to record drums off my keyboard onto, originally onto a DAT, but onto a mini disc then. I used to record them onto a mini disc.
Yeah.
Bring the mini disc to you. You had I think you still have the mini disc player lying around somewhere.
We still got a mini disc player, yeah. We try and keep all the formats because people do come back and they go, I've got all this stuff on, whatever. I mean, even zip discs, Peter Carey said, I've got all this stuff on zip discs. Do you know anyone that's got one?
Wow. That's quite rare.
Yeah.
But yeah, I used to record the drum patterns onto a mini disc, bring the mini disc to you, and then, I'd play the piano or the guitar to that. And
well, I think you would generally, at that point, you would play guitar because Juan always used to come in and do the piano parts, didn't he? He used to do the keyboard parts. So that's our good friend Juan Lozano, who I ended up in Scotland with just before the COVID lockdown.
Yeah, you did. Yeah. Good friend of mine. I introduced him to you, of course, and you've done lots of things with him since, a few albums of his. But he used to come up initially, play some keyboards for me, do some harmonies for me.
Backing vocals, I remember. Backing vocals, I remember, because he would just, it was fantastic on backing vocals. He just had that big block. And I always just egg him on and go, hey, we could do that. What about this line over the top? And he'd go, yeah, let's do that.
Exactly. He's got a natural talent for harmonies, Juan, and some people do, some people don't. I've always had a bit of a talent, but Juan's got a very good talent for harmonies, and he hears it before he sings it, which is it's quite a rare thing. That
it's maybe because he's a real musician, isn't he? I mean, his piano playing is really good, and maybe I think sometimes that gives you a framework where you think in chords. You just think, oh, well, that I would play that, so that will work as a harmony as well. And my guess is that he kind of thinks like that. Having worked with him, a fair bit, we often talk about, would the suspended work on there, etc. Talking about in kind of real musical terms how to put something like that together.
Yeah, for some people, it just comes naturally for lead singers. Sometimes I know lots of good lead singers who can't harmonize at all. So it's just the way it is.
Yeah, because they're kind of focused in on what the tune is. And it's a weird thing. I've tried to explain harmonies to people and say, well, you kind of go with the lead, but whenever the chord demands that you need to stay the same, you need to stay the same, and the lead moves. And so, I think that is not so much a thought process, because I've always been able to do them since my first gig was when I was 8 at a church hall, and I sang harmony parts to All My Lovin'. And so I've always been able to do it. It is what you're saying probably has nothing to do with musical training. It's probably just to be a knack or something,
I think there's a natural ability. I think you can teach yourself. If you join a choir or something, you get to practice it. But I think a lot of it is natural sort of ability as well.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So we did, I don't know, with using that method of the drum machine, and it was pretty much always, it was quite regimented in a way, because you would always go, right, I'm going to play the guitar on it, Juan's going to come in and play the piano on it, And you're always very polite. And you always just say, would you mind playing the bass on it? And I would go, yeah, of course, play the bass on it. And we had the drums on the drum machine. And it was kind of only a little while after that. And I think I can't remember what the song was. It was one particular song. And I said, I'm not sure these drums really work with here. I think we could do something better if I just programmed something on the computer. And I think that was a turning point. And we just did that from then on, didn't we? We just kind of worked on, okay, what should the drum feel be? And did it more from scratch then.
Yeah.
But I think it's as the technology came on, as the computers came on, and you were able to do so much more with them. By the time you get to about 2009, 2010, it was like the world's your oyster. You can now kind of do anything. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Our method certainly changed over the years, and I started to play a bit of keyboards myself then, and we did a lot more sort of sample sounds, and we did some more electronic stuff. So yeah, it's been an evolution, isn't it?
I think it's as you moved into different territories. Was it the first one that you did in a kind of more an R&B way, maybe for Nina Jones? One of those was kind of much more.
Did a couple of songs. Yeah, we did "Never Let You Go" was one.
Yeah, maybe it's that I'm thinking of. That was the first one we did with her, wasn't it? And
This was another song we did, a pop ballad R&B. Yeah. So, it's a great song that. She sang it really great. Yeah, Promises.
Yeah. And I will play a bit of that video, and you'll get the idea of what that is.
With all your promises, they killing me. Take me up, take me down, spin me halfway around, then forget about me. Now all your promises, watch over me. You don't say what you mean, you don't mean what you say. Had enough in your ways. With all your promises. If you take a leap and fall in my soul, baby, I'll never let you go. I'll catch you, I swear. If you jump, you should know, baby, I'll never let you go. If you hold on to me, if you spread your wings, they should set you free.
So yeah, that was Nina Jones. So it's just one of the collaborations you've done, Darren, but you've done loads of collaborations, haven't you?
In the early days, I never used to. When I first started coming to you, it was mostly me writing the songs and maybe Juan for the odd one, but it was mostly me. For some reason, I always had a bit of not a fear, but I was always a bit apprehensive about writing with other people because I wasn't used to it. But
It's a funny
once I got
thing, isn't it? It's a funny thing. It's not a straightforward process of you kind of have to. You're under pressure when you're in somewhere else in a room and you go, okay, let's write something. It's a bit like sometimes a great idea takes a little while to come, doesn't it? But now all of a sudden you're under pressure to have that great idea, right away.
I remember somebody writing recently about how they sort of likened it to going into a room with a stranger and just undressing so you're naked and you're both sitting there naked. And because, I suppose writing a song is a bit like being naked. You're sort of showing your heart, on your sleeve, and you're sort of being naked emotionally, I suppose. So, I thought it was a good analogy, sitting in a room with somebody naked and trying not to be embarrassed.
Well, it is, isn't it? Because, the best lyrics are the ones that are really heartfelt and move people. And you're sitting, with someone else and kind of trying out these variations of lines that really mean something, So it is. I always find it a very odd. Even though I do loads of co-writes, it's a very kind of odd way to make a living.
But I've done quite a few co-writes. I've written with Lee Gilbert. Lee
that's
Lee
right.
Never used to write songs at all. He was just singing, but we co-write, me and Lee Gilbert. Yeah, myself, Lee Gilbert, Steve Balsamo, and a lady called Bonnie Scott, who lives in Florida. So, of course, when we deal with Bonnie, she's on Skype or Zoom normally. But so yeah, she's on the Zoom out in Florida, and she's got the sea behind her, and it's always sunny, and it looks amazing. And I'm up in Merthyr Tydfil, and it's cloudy and it's raining.
Yeah.
But so yeah, she's invited us out actually. So as soon as we can get out there, we're going to try and get to Florida, which would be nice.
Fantastic.
So yeah, we've written probably half a dozen songs, and yeah, it's different. Yeah, I don't think I've written with a lady before, but the last couple of months I've started writing with some more ladies, which is good because you get a different perspective again, and different angle on things. So that's yeah, it's all good.
So there's an umbrella name for that group, isn't there? I'm trying to think what you call it.
Yeah, it's called the Grand Crew.
The Grand Crew. That's right. Yeah. That's a good name. That is. Kind of reminds me of kind of like the Cutting Crew, from or the Wrecking Crew, wasn't it? Who the rhythm section who did all those albums.
Yeah, Bonnie's involved in wine. She's been involved with like selling wine and wineries and things. So Grand Crew is a wine too, like a really good wine.
Sounds like my kind of girl.
I did do it for the Korgis album actually a couple of months back. I did listen in the bath all the way through.
Excellent.
My CD, the CD player wasn't in the bathroom, so there wasn't any chance of electrocution. But yeah, I listened to the whole album. It works really great. Really great.
Thank you. So let's talk about your contribution to this album.
Okay.
So it was a good while first before the album, because I was looking at the dates today, and it looked like it was around about in May in 2019 that you guys collaborated.
All I had was a chorus idea, really.
And you'd sent that to James, hadn't you? And hopefully we'll be able to find this, and I will kind of insert this in here so people can listen.
I did do a little kind of recording on my phone. It was just very rough on my phone, me playing guitar. Because it started off as like a strummy kind of pop rock thing, really. I had a few chorus words. I think I just had a few words of the verse. But yeah, it was meant to be a guitar kind of song, really. Baby, 'cause I'm broken, scattered pieces on the floor. Lord, you know I'm broken now. There's nothing left for me no more. Baby, 'cause I'm broken, scattered pieces on the floor. Lord, you know I'm broken now. There's nothing left for me no more. Yeah, James had it for a week or two before we met up. Then we met up in your studio up in Shabbey Road. And I wasn't sure if James had any sort of ideas for it, but I played him the chorus, and he said, yeah, I think I got some verse ideas. So he came up with some verse chords on the keyboard. He was playing the keyboard, and it sounded very different on the keyboard compared to what I'd done on the guitar. But it sounded good. And then we changed the chorus a little bit because it didn't quite fit then with his sort of piano version of it. But it was more or less the same kind of melody, but we sort of extended the chorus, changed some of the words. But yeah, the basic concept was there. Broken is basically, at that time anyway, it was about a relationship which had broken down, and about your kind of heart being scattered in a million pieces on the floor. Yeah, which is like
one of the lyrics that has stayed everywhere. And so I think you kind of wrangled through the verses and the chorus. So this was the kind of songwriting where you both do sit in a room and kind of mess with the ideas and change things around and see how they fit. And then I don't think anyone had any ideas for the middle eight at that point, did they? I think the middle eight arrived on the day. Am I right there?
I think so. I think we completed most of the song in that session. I mean,
we did it because I have the demo of the end of that day, before we put the guitar solo on, before strings went on, and all of that sort of stuff. So yeah, in fact, should we just say I'm going to play that demo now?
Thinking about the times when we were good together seems so far away. I wonder why we never got to say all of the things I never said but could have told you. Every night you're out of sight. I need you, want you. I'm broken, scattered pieces on the floor. When you close that open door on me, I was lost. Don't you know I'm broken? A million pieces all around. Fell so far I hit the ground so hard tonight. Sharing with you, we had so many dreams to live for. Dreams that turned into dust. What became sympathy and trust? Somehow I know you'll understand how much I love you. Hear me now, I'll make a vow. Believe me, I'm broken, scattered pieces on the floor. When you close that open door on me, I was lost. Don't you know I'm broken? A million pieces all around. Fell so far I hit the ground so hard. It turned so bad from the good that we had. How did our love go wrong? Life can be strange, trying in vain to make it work out just right. Don't you know I'm broken? A million pieces all around. Fell so far I hit the ground so hard tonight. Broken, scattered pieces on the floor. When you close that open door on me, broken.
Okay. And so that was a demo at the end of the first day. And I think that middle eight just arrived on the day. I think it was probably one of you two just went, all right, there's how the chorus ends. Where should it go now?
I think we had everything apart from the middle eight up until the last minute, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, it came pretty quick, really. I said we started about 11 o'clock, I think, on the day, and I think by 3 or 4 p.m., we'd finished it and done a little demo of it. So
yeah, well, as you heard by the demo, it sounds like a finished song. Even though there's no guitar solo in it, there's those massive 10cc kind of that go all the way. That could have just been like that. It didn't actually really need the solo over it. It sounded pretty nice as it was, even though it does still sound like a demo. But I think then you and I got together on another day and then just worked through kind of those ideas of just filling it out a little bit more, pop the guitar solo on. Can't remember. I tell you what, we would have done the strings at the same time, and done quite a rough string arrangement of it, which I probably wouldn't have written anything down at that point. I think it just would have played some stuff at the keyboards and gone, I think it should be a little bit like this. At that point, probably with the intention of not replacing it with real strings. And so I think it was like it came to, and you were going, okay, well, I'm thinking of, I would like to release this, James, with your voice on it, because I've released a load of things with my voice on it, and this would be a change to release it with yours. And then he started getting a bit picky and going, oh, I think the strings should be real, if you're going to release it, and we should put real drums on it as well. And I think so. I think Paul Smith came in and played the real drums on it in lightning speed, as he always does. And I just booked it in for the next string session that we had and wrote the arrangement, just an embellishment of more or less what we've had, but with a few more moving lines and a little bit more thought to it.
Yeah, it was Richard Mainwaring played the
Would have
strings,
been
didn't he?
Richard and Kareen probably, and then Claudine on cello, who are my big three that I just kind of get to do everything because they know what I'm after. When even if we're not in the same room as each other, when we're in lockdown, I often send things through to Richard. And he would just go, yeah, I know what you mean. And he would put all of those violins and violas down and it would just come back perfect, perfect every time. I mean, I'd like to think that that's because the arrangement that I wrote was perfect, but there is a little bit of interpretation as to the way you would play each note. And, those guys they just nail everything. They go, yeah, I know what you mean.
It sounded really good with the synth strings, but once the real strings went on, you got that much more organic feel to it, and it's really
kind of intangible, isn't it? It's
yeah.
Like, it doesn't really sound that different, except it just sounds like twice as good for some reason. And it's the human touch of it, of that movement between each note and everything that just makes you go, ooh, that sounds expensive. Sounds expensive.
Yeah, absolutely. And by that time we had the real drums in it as well, which give it a bit more of a punch.
Yeah.
So it was more or less finished by that time. Me and James's version of it, anyway.
Yeah.
And then of course it evolved again for the Korgis album.
Yeah, and I mean, it wasn't that different. It was just that when we were coming and writing those first few songs, and it was like, then we started to consider other things that we had lying around, like the collaboration I'd done with James, Happy Man. Oh, could that be on the album? And it was a bit like, no, it's too happy. It's not quite dark enough for this album. Whereas Broken, of course, fits into that really well. But then as the story, the arch of the album kind of developed, and we knew we were kind of following a timeline through time. And it was actually my daughter, Lorna, that did this. We were out on holiday in Ireland. We just had it on the car. And she was assessing each track as it went along. And when she come to Broken, she said, that's the only song that doesn't feel global somehow. And she said, I think you should change it so that the second verse all of a sudden takes it into a much more global territory. Instead of talking about a relationship, now you're talking about perhaps the world's broken, perhaps you've just had a nuclear war or something like that. And I kind of always had this idea. I haven't quite got this. I mean, the video is almost finished now. In fact, hopefully by the time we show this, the video will be finished. And I didn't quite get this to happen because it would be too expensive. But I wanted kind of drone footage of the three of us standing on the edge of a cliff, and you're looking out to a burning city in the background. And that was kind of that impression of when we got to the second verse, that all of a sudden there would be kind of this just desolation everywhere. And so then I put my two penneth in and wrote a couple of lyrics that were a bit more global like that fitted into that kind of philosophy.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, it's you know, it's different to what we first came up with, but it was, as you said, you had the concept for the album, and it really, I think it really suits the album now. It's different to the rest of the album, but it still kind of fits in.
Yeah, it's a lot more of a classic song. I mean, you know, and there are quite a few people who say that's my favorite track from it.
Oh, really?
So that's great. You know, it's great that you always wonder about, does this song really belong? Because it was written at a different time. But the fact that people are coming back and going, I love that song. That's, you know, broken. That's
and it's got an 80s vibe, isn't it? You know, I always think of it as I think it's very Korgis, you know, it's a bit Beatles-ish.
It's a bit ALR as well, isn't it? You know, the guitar solo is pure American. You know, we've gone into it's
a little bit Christopher Cross, it's a little bit Stephen Bishop, maybe.
Yeah.
So it's got a flavor of lots of different things. Yeah.
And of course, then James and I went to town on it. More acoustic guitars. I think James picked up a guitar at one point and went, I've got some ideas for it. And his ideas were all like, in the chorus, and those little things, which were just like the icing on the cake that was added right at the end. And then I sent him all the stems, and stems basically means a mix broken down. We kind of did a mix of it, and then we broke it down. I sent him all the separate elements for that. And then he started to mess with it again. And so the album version starts with almost no drums anywhere. I think the first chorus, you just hear this bass drum going, there's hardly anything there. And it gradually kind of builds through. The second chorus is quite loud. And then all of a sudden, middle eight really takes off with this bloody enormous snare in the middle of it. And we ramp up to the guitar solo and then the end where it comes down again. But that was all kind of, James reshaped all of that when he was mastering it. So it was kind of, there was so many different eras that the song went through. It was just kind of really interesting for me as well, because I get stuff through and go, he's done this, you know.
That music master mix as well, you know, he sort of changed the EQ a bit on certain things.
Yeah,
it's good. Funny how a song evolves, isn't it? You know, through
time. That's right. It's good. So what's next on the horizon for you, Darren? What's your new plans? I mean, we only just touched on the four-way collaboration that you're doing, but you're actually doing a lot of great songs with that. I mean, we've worked with me on a lot of those. I know you're working with other people as well, but there's some great stuff in there. And I mean, the three of you as vocalists, you know, you, Lee Gilbert and Steve Balsamo. At one point, I remember Steve saying to me, I said, how about this kind of line? And he went, yeah, go out and sing it. It's like, I'm surrounded by three of the great singers in Wales. And it's like, you want me to go? No, bloody sing it yourself.
You know, he's world-class, Steve. You know, he's very down to earth, and you know, he's not big-headed in any way. But you know, when he did like some vocals on, we did a song called "Look Up." I don't know if you remember doing that one. We did vocals there. Yeah. You know, and I see him all the time, but even I was like, wow,
I know
that's amazing.
When he did that, we did a video in the studio of him just doing that, and it was like, you know, I played it to everyone at home, and it was like, oh, that's amazing, you know, isn't that, you know? Because sometimes I play things to Carrie, and she's a bit silent for a little while, and she often goes, well, it's all right, you know, or whatever. That she went, that's amazing. That is just amazing.
He is world class, Steve. But we worked on a couple of songs for Lee Gilbert's new album, which you worked on, of course, called "Take Me As I Am." Yeah. I wrote the title track for that. We recorded that a couple of years ago with you. That's right. We had a cello on it. Yeah. So Lee's getting ready he's got a CD version out. He did a great show just 2 weeks ago, actually, in the Park and Day in Treorchy, which was a great night. I was there just on the side of the stage watching. Sadly, Steve couldn't make it. He had a bit of a flu, and his voice had gone. So he couldn't sing that night. Yeah. But it was a great show, great audience. So he's getting ready to do an album launch, and we're going to release a couple of singles, like Soldier On is one we're releasing.
Another one of those collaborations, isn't it, from you guys? Yeah.
I'm still working on my own stuff, writing on my own. back doing stuff with my band, doing some gigs.
Gigs,
So,
gigs.
Yeah,
It was a little while. I couldn't remember what they were. But
I know. So yeah, it's keeping busy. You know, I got to write all the time. Really, you know, I'm writing something every week. Really, even if it's just a chorus idea or a melody. You know, always recording stuff into my phone and working on things.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll have to get a new album out maybe by the summer.
Yeah, great stuff. Well, I will look forward to it. Look forward to
Sure,
checking out what you put on there. Yeah, great. Okay, so Darren, great to talk to you. And I'll talk to you as well, and we'll decide, you know, okay, which songs are yours should we play and whatnot, and we'll kind of, hopefully everyone in the Korgis world will now know who Darren Parry is, who the co-writer of Broken was. And it was kind of you that initiated that idea as well, because, you know, most people actually, they always go, oh, it was obviously that's classic James Warren, that is, but actually it's classic Darren Parry. And James came in and kind of reshaped it a little bit. But, you know, credit where it's due, mate. Credit where it's due.
Thank you.
No,
It was a pleasure.
We'll
Great to be involved.
catch up. We'll catch up again soon, Darren. And thanks for coming on the show.
No, thanks for having me. I'll see you soon.
All right, cheers, mate. So that was Darren Parry. I feel like we should give him a little round of applause there. I just feel like it would be a good thing to do. Yeah, thank you, Darren. Thank you for doing that. Believe it or not, I cut that down by about 15 minutes because I might pop that up on Facebook or one of the others, or all of them, in fact, just some of the bits that we cut out, because we talked about Spotify, we talked about the old days of playing vinyl, of sitting around listening to an album. Those were the days. Yeah, those were the days. Yeah, so all of that sort of stuff that I just felt it was all a bit too long, but I kind of might release those little extra sections another time. So yeah, great to talk to Darren. And it was funny just casting your mind back to, what order did things happen in, etc. But yeah, I kind of remember that day quite well. And I hadn't realised that we got something quite so polished at the end of the day. We must know what we're doing, eh? Maybe. The quiz question, we'll just reiterate the quiz question. There have been some answers. I'm going to pop this back up on screen, and of course the quiz question, of which the prize is possibly innocent bystander, unless the person has innocent bystander, in which case we will think again. Yes, we will. Okay, so in Broken, which section of the lyrics did Al rewrite? And there may have been a clue in the Darren Parry interview. Well, there was a clue indeed in there. I mean, we only put it up for a little while, so if you missed it, you would have missed it. That would have been it. Sorry, let's go back to here. I've done very well where I haven't actually left the camera off for a long period of time on this one.
What about the mic?
The mic's good. Okay. Mic's good as well. We got 2 out of 2 here. 2 out of 2 ain't bad. It's one better than Meatloaf, I think. So yeah, we will come back to the quiz question in a little bit. I think we are going to go to a little bit of news. Oh, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. In addition to my subscribe to YouTube, etc., there was something we would like each and every one of you to do, if you would. Anyone who uses Spotify, please add one of the songs, or as many of the songs as you like, from Cartoon World onto a playlist somewhere. You just pick your favorite one if you want. But that way other people then see the playlist and they then share them, etc., etc. And that is exactly how Spotify works. That is why Everybody's Got to Learn Sometime has something like 500,000 streams per month. Okay, so we'd like all the new stuff to have 500,000 streams as well. We would. Then I don't know how many we'd have 1 trillion streams there, which would be better. Yeah,
That would be great.
that would be great. That would be great. And then every time you come to the gig, the drinks are on us. always. All right? So it's a win-win, you know. You share it onto your playlist and you get a free drink eventually. Spotify don't play very much, so it may take a little while. We may start off with thimblefuls of booze and we'll work up to a pint. There we go. So that would be great. If you can, pop them onto playlists. That would be fantastic. Other news, obviously big news. We are playing the Concord Club this Saturday. Looking forward to that immensely. And a few of the band are staying over as well. I think James and John are going home. John's had a bad back. Aww. Wish him well. He has had a very bad back, but he made it to rehearsal on Tuesday, and he's still sounding great, even though he's hobbling a bit. The rehearsal for the boy band song, his movements were not quite as fluent as they normally are, but he did battle his way through it. So I think John and James are going home that night, but I'm staying. Ava, Emmy, Jay, and Dave from Born to Win are all staying. Paul Smith is staying, and he's bringing Elaine with him. He's bringing Elaine Smith, Elaine Gilmore with him. So if anyone has that album, or in fact, I'll tell you what we should do is, Elaine, if you're watching this, bring some of your albums along, because you might sell one or two there that night. You never know. You might. We might even give you a little mention. So yeah, we're staying over, and we're also gonna have breakfast. Probably not too early on the Sunday morning. Breakfast 10:30, something like that. So if anyone fancies calling back after the gig the next morning or something like that, or if you're staying, I would imagine there's a few people that are staying there at the hotel just across the road, which is owned by the Concord Club. Then we'd be delighted to see you over breakfast. Yeah, and I can't tell you what's on the menu, but we'll just have to make our minds up on the day. There we are. So, yeah, would love anyone to join us there. There are still a few tickets left for the Concord Club. It's a beautiful venue. It's really nice. It's a great sound. It's a really nice layout as well. So, would love to see you there. Also, this is going to be the very first time that we play live Always a Sunny Day. It is, and it's sounding really nice as well. It sounds great. So yeah, it's your first chance to see our first outing of Always a Sunny Day. And talking about Always a Sunny Day, Always a Sunny Day is still climbing charts virtually everywhere. The Fab chart. The Fab chart, which is a brilliant chart, it's got a load of great stuff in it. We are number 2 and number 4. Sadly, Bringing Back the Spirit of Love, which kind of came out of nowhere. I have no idea why that kind of crept up the charts, but we're taking notice of that, and that may well be a re-release of that very soon. That was at number 1 on the Fab chart last week and has gone down to number 2. But Always a Sunny Day was number 5, and that's gone up to number 4. So we're crisscrossing ourselves, and we're hoping Always a Sunny Day is heading for the number 1 spot. So that's the Fab chart. Mike Reed's Heritage chart. We are inching our way up on that chart. I think we came in at 29, went to 25, went to something like. I think we're
We're at 15 now.
We're at 15 now. That's what I was going to say. We were at 18 and now we're at 15. And we did a live performance on there. If you didn't see it, check it out. If you just put the Heritage chart into Google, it'll come up, and that latest episode is there. Have a little look, and there's us performing it downstairs in they've got a proper stage area there. So we're performing it downstairs in the stage area. I'm singing Joe Matera's parts on that. And also we did, when we were there, we recorded an interview, and we also did a video for Bringing Back the Spirit of Love. So I'd imagine in the next couple of weeks, those things are going to materialize. So it's a really good chart. It's a good show. Very top of the pops. And so from that point of view, it's, it's quite nostalgic in a way. So it's a nice show to listen to. And they have some nice stuff on there. Some nice stuff. Not all of it, but some nice stuff. Yeah. But good on Mike Reed for doing that. That's a brilliant little thing that he's doing there. What else have we got here? I think. Yeah, I don't think we kept going up on the Dutch chart. I think we've slipped out of the Dutch chart. There we are. Okay, so I think we're all good there. I think we're going to have a wee bit of a look at Sonar and some of these backing vocals. I mean, we always kind of look at the backing vocals, don't we? But it must be said that on this particular song, especially that 10cc block, is just quite interesting, really. And I'm going to zone in on that for you. I'm just going to solo all of these backing vocals, in which once again you can see that there are blocks and blocks and blocks and blocks. I think on this particular one, I'm going to put the lead vocals on as well, because uncharacteristically here, look, there's a lot of lead vocals as well. Gee, look. So I'm going to turn them on as well, because uncharacteristically, now James often will be the first one to put down blocks, and he would normally put a 3-part block down and he would sing over the top of it. In this particular one, he didn't. In this particular one, he built his blocks just around the lead vocal, so there's a space for the lead vocal. Be interesting to see whether you can tell a difference or not. But I think here we are. I think this might be the 10cc block. Oh, yes, it is. I think that's just James and John.
Like little angels.
Don't you know I'm broken? A million pieces all around. All at once I hit the ground so hard tonight.
There we are. Actually, I tell a lie. That wasn't James and John, because John's block wasn't on. There were so many backing vocals, it was off screen. I've turned it around again. Well, we're going to have another listen to that little block with everyone in. Denser again. Very nice, that, isn't it? That is a pretty nice little thing going on there. I think that probably is enough. I'll just have a little glance around just in case there's anything else that's... Oh, I tell you what. I can't leave this without actually playing you the strings. There is some great string stuff on this, and especially the strings are right in from halfway through the first verse, and when they come in, they just sound like this. Oh, I tell you what. No, sorry. That's a whole block I didn't use. That is. This is the block we use. It's like this was Richard, because this was done in lockdown. Richard sent me through all of the violin and viola parts. Normally we'd use Richard and Corinne Colborne, Richard Mainwaring, but on this particular one, Richard did all of these blocks, and he sent me 2 different recordings of each of them with different mics. This is the mic that I chose, and this is what it actually sounds like with cellos in it as well. Any day. love those high and lows together. So I'm going to skip on. This is the middle eight, where, of course, we go into a much more beatless kind of thing. I'm going to let you hear a little bit of the rest of the band in the background so you get a frame of reference.
Good that we had. How did our love go wrong? It's strange. Try and again. To make it work out just
Now there's a guitar line. That's interesting. The very end.
scattered pieces on the floor, standing by that open door.
There we are. That was Broken. Always great working on strings. So it's quite interesting there at the end. We heard Broken, what it all on the first violins. That ended up being a guitar line that we played right at the end. It was one of the things we said, James picked up a guitar and went, I got an idea, why don't we do this? Put that on. So that's probably where he got it from, is we were that tune was always there subliminally in the background and the strings. And so he kind of just amplified that with a few different other things. So, yeah, all good. That was very interesting. So very soon we are going to play you the new video of Broken that was only finished, I think it was the night before last, about 3 a.m. I think I finished it. I was using a different video editing program. It was driving me completely bananas. Different things were going out of time and all sorts of stuff. But hopefully it's right now. Nigel, I think, has a question.
No, it's not a question. Just, do you want to do the competition?
We're going to do the
before
competition,
going
yeah.
into that?
Yes. Yeah, well, we play the video. That'll be the end, and we'll go on to the end live stream bit and all of that. But I may we'll touch on the video just a little bit before we do. But as Nigel says, let's go and do the competition. And I'm going to stick it back up on the screen again. Here we go. So that wasn't quite it. Oh, there we go. Okay. So, yeah, in Broken, which section of the lyrics did Al rewrite? There may have been a clue in the Darren Parry interview. Well, of course there was. So, as I said in the interview, I just always imagined... Oh, yeah, there it was on screen. I always imagined that when we went into that second verse, that the video would be us standing on the edge of a cliff. Or actually, it's halfway through the verse where it says, now as we stand in times where all we know is changing. And so that was where I kind of imagined that kind of whole big vista would open up. And in fact, Nigel Boyle is a drone owner, and we were actually going to do the video for this, but it's like we kind of ran out of time of trying to get everyone together, and then the winter set in, and drones in the winter, not a good idea. Well, standing in skimpy clothing in the middle of winter out in a field is not a very good idea either. So we gave that a miss, but I'm sure we'll use on a separate video. In fact, we might just write a song just for the drone video.
I would. You should.
So yes, it was the second verse. And of course we have a winner. And the lucky winner is Elaine Brokenshaw.
Again.
She is the winner. I don't know how many times. I think you've won 3 times now, Elaine, something like that. Well done for that. And I did see on the chat that someone said, "How on earth did you get that?" I'd be interested. Tell us, Elaine, how did you get it?
Before the video came out.
Yeah, I'm trying to think whether it might have been on the poster. You know, it might have been on the making of. There might have been a little reference to it there. But we'll see. But yes, you are absolutely dead right. It was that verse 2. And that's why we wanted to change the song from being a personal song into being a global song, into being about, you know, as the album is much more about global things than it is anything else. Even a song like The Ghost of You, which on the album follows Broken, which is obviously a song kind of about relationships, etc. But it was also about changing things. It was kind of maybe a little bit about plastic surgery, about fixing things that are wrong. We're on the cusp of gene pools for babies, of being able to change genes, of being able to, you know, maybe fix hereditary diseases, which is brilliant. But we're also on the eve of being able to change the color of babies' eyes, and also, you know, not just for babies. If you have gene therapy as an adult, of course you can change your body as you go along. So we're on the cusp of that. So The Ghost of You lyrically was sort of about that as well. Was about the permeation of artificial things coming into our society. And the question of the whole album is, have we gone too far, or are we about to go too far? Answers, please, on the back of postcard. There we are. So, Elaine, congratulations. I know you have got this album. I know you've got that album, so you better talk to us. So, no prizes for guessing what the prize is going to be next week, right? We're going to try the same thing again. Maybe we'll have to grab some people off the street and go, "Hey, can you find the answer to this question? Because we've got an album that you don't have because you never heard of him." So there. So congratulations, Elaine, and I will obviously get that to you. Get it to you. Well done again. And we're still waiting to hear, how did you know the answer? How did you know the answer? We want to know. Okay, so moving on. I think we've kind of got most things. Other than just a preamble into the video. We should say about next week. Now, next week is a bit of a strange week because it's just before I nip off to Liberia for 2 weeks, and I've had lots of people going, "What are you doing in Liberia exactly? Why are you going, and what?" And the story is quite an amazing one. And it's something that possibly will go on for the next couple of years. So rather than me telling you about it now, we're not going to focus on a Korgis song, but we'll be doing some Korgis things. In fact, I have written a little chorus called "Going Back to Liberia," or Liberia, as I actually sing, and that's actually out there how they say it as well, Liberia. So I'll give you a little sneak preview of that. Whether it ends up on a Korgis album or not, I don't know. I have said this before, but there's a little bit of a move for maybe a new Korgis album that would center around countries of the world. There's plenty of scope for songwriting there at the moment, isn't there? So that's quite possible. We have a few things lying around in that area. So I will actually play you a little bit of that "Going Back to Liberia," because while we're out there, I'm going to try and get the Liberian choir that I'm working with to sing that chorus. Also, I'm going to try and get him to sing the chorus for This World's For Everyone, as we are planning a new version of that. I think it will end up on the Japanese compilation album. But it's a sort of song that we may well end up doing a charity version of, at some point. And so for that reason, it'd be handy to have a new version of that on the go. But I'm going to try and get them to sing on that as well. So that should be fun. So next week, we're talking about Liberia and a load of other Korgis things. But I'm joined by Hegsy, who is my partner in crime, who is going out to Liberia with me. And he can tell you a bit more about this weird and wonderful project that we are kind of achieving or hoping to achieve out there. So do join us for that on next week's. And I'm just about to actually play the video that I have just created. Actually, we started this months ago. If anyone saw us doing either of the gigs where we did Cartoon World in its entirety, you will have seen that there was a partial video for Broken that kind of went black every now and then came back, etc., etc. So I spent a little bit of time kind of working our way through this. The song itself, of course, it has that dystopian kind of feel to it, so that is reflected in the video with lots of things crumbling into a million pieces. And I think, yeah, I mean, it was all just this last 3 years of having Brexit, COVID, and now a war all on top of each other. And I think the title says it all. So I think we're gonna leave you with that video. Thanks so much for coming and seeing us. There's nothing we need to answer, is there, Nige, on there?
Nothing to answer, but Elaine said Dave deserves the credit for finding the answer. He downloaded the lyrics from the internet, and when the track was played on your live stream, he could see the lyrics had changed.
Oh, now that Dave Brokenshaw, you really are a deserving winner for that, because that is that is something that a lot of people would have noticed. Well, other than Nigel did, because Nigel was typesetting. And he said, I'm just going to go through those lyrics with it and just check that they're okay. And then he rang me and he went, all the lyrics have changed. It's a completely different version. This is. I went, oh yeah, I did. I rewrote some of them. Yeah. So well spotted, Dave. Yeah, well spotted. Very good. Very good. Okay, so see you next week. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you, Nigel, for manning the console as he always does. We'll leave this live stream on for just 5 minutes afterwards. If there's anything that anyone last minute wants to ask or anything like that. And I am going to leave you with the video for Broken, if I can find it. And it's definitely here somewhere. I've got it. Here we go. Bye. There will be sound.
Thinking about the times when we were good together, seemed so far away. I wonder why we never got to say all of the things I never said but could have told you. Every night you're out of sight. I need you, want you. I'm broken, scattered pieces on the floor. When you close that open door on me, I was lost. Don't you know I'm broken? A million pieces all around. All at once I hit the ground so hard tonight. When life was new, we had so many dreams to live for.